What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, I know, I'm sorry. Been a little bit busy, you know, family life, just day-to-day life, and I'm not going to lie, the idea of getting content that was up to a standard that I'd like, it just started getting to me, so I'm not going to lie, I just stopped recording. I believe I've got a video pretty much edited of some work to the jazz, which I'll probably upload before this one, so we'll see. But yeah, the content just weren't where I wanted it to be. It started to get me down a little bit, so I just stopped recording and just carried on doing stuff. So if you're subscribed for jazz updates, if you're subscribed for the MX5 stuff, I'm sorry, it is what it is. Yeah, my bad. There has been stuff going in the background, and the engine's actually in the jazz, and when it heats in, it's bolted in. It's sat on two mounts, sat on each side mount. Clearance all the way around, the subframe's in, the rear mount's on my bench over there, and we are, well, I am on with getting it done. Next job is going to be like the inlet, the starter, the alternator, get all that bolted on, and then I can start laying the loom in place and get it plumbed up. Probably do that in this video, we'll see. But in other news, the Mazda, if you was here for the Mazda videos, sorry to say, it's gone. I didn't fit as well as I'd like to. I'm 6'2", 6'3", somewhere in that region, and I wanted to get in that car with a hard top on, with a helmet on, and fit, not be anywhere near the roof and that, because I'm not really a big fan of convertibles. Don't know why I bought a Mazda. I just thought, you know, like two-seater coupe, 50/50 weight diffusion, rear-wheel drive, let's try some of that. But tried it on track a few times, put it into bales twice, and I sort of fell out with rear-wheel drive, so I've sold it. It went to a good friend of mine, Rue. She's been in a previous video. That's now her daily driver. She loves it, hopefully. But yeah, it's gone, and it has been replaced. I'm not going to tell you what with, but there will be a video about it. Your clues are turbo wheel, that failed on me, and that wheel. If you know what it is, if you're a mate or something like that, don't say anything. If you've watched this and you're interested, guess, drop a comment. So yeah, moving forward, the Jazz. Since buying this other car, which is round the corner, you can't see it, since buying that car, this is completely took a back burner. I've been concentrating on that car, I've been getting it ready, I've done a Nürburgring trip in it, I broke down a Nürburgring in it, got it home, parked it up, and that's been sat there. And then I thought to myself, that would have been a fantastic vlog. The views would have been good. The channel might have actually done something. Much the same as when Die DC2 crashed at the ring and his channel sort of exploded a little bit. But by the by, it's done. Cars here, parts are here, I need to get on with that. That's videos for another day maybe, if you're interested. The Jazz, I've sort of lost interest in. Work has been going on. I've got a lot of pictures that I might chuck in this video of the work, because I've been chucking it on Instagram. But the engine's bolted in, the engine's been fully refreshed in regards every gasket, every seal that I can get my hands on. I've not touched the bottom end, you know, the bearings and stuff like that, left them all alone because they come out of a running driving car with 105,000 miles on it. So it's not high mileage or anything, so I thought just leave that alone. But the engine has been refreshed. It's got an FD2 oil pump put in it, done away with all the balance shaft and that. I'll chuck a picture in. I chucked in a baffled sump, which is a clockwise motion baffled sump, because I did plan on getting this thing on track. So that's all in, the engine's all refreshed. I even gave it a lick of paint and bolted the gearbox together. I had the gearbox looked over and checked, everything seems to be good there. You know, diff's all shimmed nicely. I bolted the engine in, got it to where it is, it's clearanced everywhere. The exhaust manifold on, the subframe's bolted in. That's where we're up to. Again, sorry for the lack of updates, sorry for the detail after detail. It got in the way and I started losing love. But I don't want to get it done. When it's running and driving, I'm not going to lie, I might sell it, because the other car is taking priority. And I enjoy driving it, and I think it'll be a mint car for track and even just a weekend blast. And then the idea would be to maybe sell this, sell the other Jazz, which you can just see poking out there, and you know, buy a nice daily. Not special, not going to be out fancy, I don't think. Or when it comes to buying something, you know what it gets like. It turns from, oh, I'll have a look at a new Jazz, to Type R's, and before long you're looking back at, you know, V10 Audis. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move forward. let's get some work done.
Right, so I thought I'd give this voiceover thing a go. Let me know how I do. One of the things I did whilst the engine was out is make the slam panel removable. Just makes it a bit easier to access everything. Not fighting with that slam panel certainly helped. Once the engine was on the stand, I pulled off all the ancillaries and all the covers to make sure I could get to all the inner gubbins. Remove the sump, need to get to that oil pump because I'm swapping that out. Remove the timing chain and guides, may as well throw fresh ones in while we can get to it all. Pulled off that big heavy balance shaft oil pump. Apparently it does free up a little bit of power, so you know, why not. Remove the windage tray, it's not compatible with the new pump. Clean off all the sealant from the bottom of the engine, don't want him to be knocking that into the engine. Needed to remove this little oil restrictor, so I pulled that out. Found a correctly sized bolt and sealed that up with a little bit of Honda Bond. Tried the windage tray, and as you can see that's a pump installed along with fresh bolts, OEM chain and tensioners to suit that too, because it is different to the heavier one. Installed a fresh timing chain, make sure to keep it all timed up perfectly of course. Some new timing guides, using of course OEM. It's not really worth using the cheaper stuff, you're not saving a lot of money and it's a lot of hassle to change them in the future. And obviously a new OEM tensioner, again for the same reason, they're not that expensive. There's your timing cover on. We use fresh seals for the crank seal and the water pump. That's the water pump, fresh, made well while we're there. Put it all together using the hoses and bottom pulley. Fresh seals for the VTC and VTEC solenoid. A clockwise motion baffled thump were thrown in. Put it all together and give it a clean up. Got the gearbox with fresh drive shaft seals, some hybrid racing detent springs, a fresh clutch, an exceeded clutch, only a OEM equivalent one, nothing fancy, and bolted it into the car. Give the subframe a refresh with hard race bushes on the anti-roll bar. Threw in an FN2 exhaust manifold bolted straight in. Modified the bracket for the ABS system to move it all away from the engine and give it a lick of paint so it didn't rust and looked a bit tidier as well.
As you can see, the engine's in. This has been removed, the radiator slam panel thing, and some little tabs welded on so that I can still bolt in the piece there. That'll bolt in nicely and still support the bumper. Like I say, the engine block got a coat of silver just to tidy it up. Same with gearbox. Mounts in, it's all torqued up. Obviously you can see you've got clearance there, clearance on the engine mount. The Cheddar's mounts are in, there, the ones there. Subframe's in, and as you can see it's got some fancy bushes, I can't remember what they were, hard race I believe, and the exhaust manifold's in. That's pretty much where we got to. Oh, the standard heater hose also works for one, which was nice. That's literally just a Jazz one, I've held it in place and it works perfectly. The other one obviously we'll need to get a bit more fancy with, because it goes from the Jazz size there to the FN2 size, which is in one of these boxes somewhere, but it's a couple of more bigger.
Right, so I've got the starter motor bolted up, followed by the auxiliary belt and the alternator. Easy job. Threw the inlet manifold on. Fresh gasket for the throttle body, using OEM of course, no point using anything else. And then threw the throttle body on. The rear engine mount was a bit of a pig to do. It's a bit difficult to get to, but a bit of fiddling with them bolts and we're in.
Right, the engine mount is in, steering rack's bolted in and all torqued up nicely. Absolute piss take getting that engine mount in. I need to tighten up the main bolt that runs through it still, but it's in. I do think we're going to have some clearance issues with the anti-roll bar. So at the minute I've got the anti-roll bar pushed all the way up, so it's clearing the exhaust manifold, but if I pull it down, you can see it hits it. So we'll have to see how we get on with that one. I know some people do remove the anti-roll bar, but I'd like to avoid it if I can. But yeah, right, engine mounts in. They've been torqued up. I need to paint mark them, but I want to torque that up first. Next up, I can get the intermediate shaft in, and I think that's it for under here at the minute. The intermediate shaft can't go in while the engine mount's on because that interferes with that. Should have read the instructions, it does say it in there. It's a new day and the intermediate shaft's in. Got to remove this mount, which we're a pig to get in and out because everything's just under so much tension. Slide the intermediate shaft in and then put the mount back on. But it's in, bolted in, it's all torqued up, good to go. And that brings us back up top. So just making progress really. We'll get the injector in, fuel rail back on, and then obviously we can hook the fuel line up, which I believe we can use the OE line, just straight from the end of the rail to the OE line. We'll see. And then we'll go back to a pile of bits that's knocking about and see if there's anything else we need to do before we start worrying about plumbing and wiring. I think that's what we're going to call it. The next few videos are going to be system by system, hopefully. So next up, I'm looking at maybe doing the wiring. Obviously, all the engine harness will need plugging in. The ECU will need some kind of mounting. Then I've got the conversion loom in that box, along with the fan, maybe getting that done, and the charge harness, you know, the wiring for the battery and that type of thing. We have got the factory wiring in here, which I'm hoping is going to do the chunk of it, but we shall see. Regarding plumbing, voice your opinion. I've got two options with the radiator. I can do what everyone else does, which is easy, it's simple, and takes a lot of hassle out of it. Standard radiator, and then adapt some hoses. So we use like an FN2 hose on this side onto a Jazz hose to get it matched up with some like joiners, or alternatively I am tempted to get a Mishimoto aluminium Jazz radiator, which will obviously fit straight in. I believe I've got to tilt it forward a little bit, and then move the outlets, inlet outlet on the radiator to match up with some factory FN2 hoses. I don't know how viable that is, but it'd have an aluminium radiator and in theory FN2 hose would work. There'd be no cutting and shotting, which would annoy me, but it is more expensive. If I use a stock radiator, I've got to get a stock radiator, which is 90 quid off Autodoc, and then I can get some hoses fairly cheap, like used hoses, and make it work, get it running and drive and go from there. Or I go the Mishimoto route, which is a 300 quid radiator plus a set of FN2 hoses, which obviously you're going to go for silicons or something. So you're looking at nearly 400 quid plus adapted it. What do you reckon? Anyway, we'll leave it at that. If you got to this point in the video, thanks for watching, and hopefully catch you on the next one.